All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first webinar of Managing a New Reality and Consulting with the Experts. My name is Aubrey Schmalley, and I have with me today Cassandra Andrade and Terry DeLisa. We hope to have a few more panelists also joining us, but today's topic is about putting in new habits and routines for a new reality. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm also going to be trying to get this live on YouTube so that everyone can benefit. Now we have Aileen. She's joined our panelist discussion. Hi, Aileen. And I just wanted to go over a few ground rules while we get started. So the presentations are going to be about 30 minutes long, so we'll have 10 minutes of the primary presenter speaking. The panelists who are not, who don't have the floor, if you could please turn off your video because you are being recorded as a panel of 4 or 5. But when you want to chime in, definitely feel free. And then also if you could mute yourself if you're not talking, just in case there's dogs or animals or children or whatever going on in the background. Some of us will be sharing PowerPoint slides throughout the week, and some of us will just be talking, and we'll be doing a dual interview. If you are registered for this event, you are going to get a copy of the recording afterwards. So that's a really important reason to sign up. And we'll also be sending you any resources that the presenter shared in the process. If you haven't registered, we are trying to live stream these webinars on YouTube at the Sensational Achievements YouTube channel. So you can't ask questions, you can't raise your hand if you're not registered. However, you can still benefit from all the great information that we're trying to share with our community. So we're really excited to have you here. Just give me 1 second to see if I can get this up live. And all right, might not be. We'll try it again. Okay. Live on YouTube. Let's see what happens. All right, we are up to 7. So let's get started, everybody. Again, my name is Aubrey Schmalley. I am the owner of Sensational Achievements, and I'll be your main host for the week. We've got a lot of great panelists showing up on the screen right now. Physical therapist Aileen Tisser, psychologist Terry DeLisa, Cassandra Andrade, also another sensory occupational therapist with an additional specialty in working in lots of different school settings, so she can offer us many great resources and feedback and information of all the things that she's learned from the different populations that she's been working with. So let me get started. I am going to share my screen here. Let's see. Let me get back to the beginning. All right. And excuse my scroll. We were practicing before we started. But so today I really wanted to talk about some tips and tricks for success at home in your planning of your new routine. And one of the things is really consider setting up your workspaces and your seating environment to be optimized for a learning opportunity for your children, whether you have 1 or 4. It's definitely important to try to set up that space to be as clutter-free as possible and conducive to learning. Second, we're going to talk about alternating body movements with learning activities, making sure that this is a conversation between your child and yourself, because there's a lot of feelings and anxiety and emotions during this time, and also helping teach self-awareness to communicate their needs as they go through this, because this is definitely a new reality for everyone. One thing I want to say is if you do have comments and questions, there is a Q&A box. Please pop them in there and our panelists will help to answer them as we go. I'm going to talk through this first, and then we'll open the floor to questions for parents. So one of the things I want to suggest is that we make some device-free zones and create white space. White space allows for calming, for thinking, for recovering, processing opportunities. We can't avoid being online for a lot of the work, and I know some teachers are even setting up Zoom sessions for their classes, but it is important to have spaces in your home that are device free, where you can incorporate some of these other things that we'll be discussing today. The second thing, decrease the visual overload. There's a big difference between the classroom that is on the left of your screen and the one that's on the right. Same color scheme, but what is in your workspace is really important, because especially if you have a child that has a lot of visual distractions, it's going to be that much more difficult for them to get through the work that's in front of them if their workspace isn't kind of set up either near a wall or near some place that doesn't have a lot of visual extras for now. So you may have to do some rearranging of your furniture in the process. Also, setting up your child's workspace is going to change for different ages, right, Cassandra? Oh, hold on one second. I have to get out of my share screen because...
Yes, very much.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yes, I have to mute. Yeah, your space is going to evolve depending on, you know, the age and, you know, needs of your child. So here I've like set up kind of like the work area of different activities that like we're working on. My daughter goes to a Montessori school, and so I was given activities to do during this period of time. So keeping that in mind, and keeping like the idea of like, you know, less is more, you know, creating like a station or a table where they can, you know, easily accessible, they can get to, and also, you know, creating that space of, you know, just calm, like less, like I said, less is more, and, you know, creating like an easel space, and, you know, there's some fine motor stuff underneath the easel, easy accessible, like construction paper. So making whatever is, you know, in the, I guess, hot, you know, what they're going to need, like, you know, regularly, easily accessible. I also have a 5-month-old. So, you know, sharing that space is important because, you know, I don't have a mansion, and, you have to be, you know, mindful in, you know, the toys and, you know, activities that I, you know, you also choose for the other siblings, you know, in your house. So yeah, that's what I think about, you know, that's how I've, you know, arranged my environment in adapting to this new norm. Yeah.
And I took some pictures of my daughter's workspace that she set up, and also borrowed some of her old stuff because she's 13 now. So her workspace looks a little bit different. We've got our water bottle, our Purell. She's okay with a few distractions, but you can see that next to her computer, we also have the fidgets that we need to help with the concentration, and a timer, a sand timer, which is working as our visual timer to try to help us get through things. If you look down at the bottom of the picture, you can also see a nice fuzzy rug. You know, sometimes she's a fidgeter, but she's definitely likes pressure and soft things and whatnot. So she keeps that in her workspace. You might, you know, choose a different seating style. I just even borrowed a stool for the image on the other side to allow for some rocking and another kind of movement, because some children do need that rocking and that rhythm for the regulation. Let me just, I don't want to spend too much time on any particular slide because I do want to make sure that there's a lot of times for questions, but I wanted to share with you that the body activated learning framework that I came up with in 2015 that really kind of gives you a roadmap for thinking about what's going to be in your space and how you're going to put together the activities that you're doing during the day. Because there's going to be some times that you need to calm down. There's going to be some times that you need energy and lots of movement so that the kids can be alert and connected. And then you want to, as much as you can, kind of activate the body for learning through adding movement into some of your activities, and make sure that you're regrouping from screen time, from any long period of sitting, you know, take those stretch breaks, breathing breaks, things like that. So things that you could put in your environment. I'm not expecting that you're going to get an Amazon delivery at any point in the near future. So you're going to have to be creative. It's really what you have available. So the the challenge with having self-control and attention and focus for an entire school day is that it first comes physiologically through that connection to your body and how that sensory information is supporting your emotional regulation, your attention, your focus, and your availability to engage in academic work. So you might need to think about adding a corner where you can have rhythm and pressure and respiration. Those are the universal organizers to get your child to be in a place of optimal arousal. In my house, we added a little music area that had more calming music, lots of stuffed animals for squishing. We happened to have a pinwheel that we found around the house. I had a lot more than I thought, considering that my daughter doesn't have super high sensory needs, but she certainly has them. And she is very much a pressure seeker in the way that she likes to get that calming input to feel less anxious and more focused. So what do you need in yours? You know, you might need music. You definitely need a defined area that's not the workspace to make that happen. Think about the lighting that you might put in there if your child is sensitive to different kind of lighting. Do you have a rocking chair? Do you have a tent, a beanbag? Even putting, you know, a sheet over a table could really make a big difference for your child. So other things that you can think about, definitely breathing. And breathing is all shapes and sizes. It's balloons, it's pinwheels, it's bubble mountain, it's taking a straw and putting it in a little bit of soapy water and making a giant bubble bath. Where can you find these natural opportunities to support a child's physiological self-regulation throughout the day? Because that's really, really important. And some households will certainly need it more than others. You might even think about, do you have a calming box? Do you have something nearby that you can easily access that's going to provide your child with that rhythm, pressure, respiration? And maybe you do need to make a little storybook about what's going on and explain what's happening to your child who needs the social story or some sort of concrete information to lock onto that will also help them feel safe at the same time. Remember, it's not just about them, it's also about you. This is a very stressful time. This is something we'll definitely be talking so much more about tomorrow in our Tuesday webinar with Terry DeLisa as we talk about managing your anxiety. But you can do these activities with your kids too. Rhythm, pressure, respiration, the more you do them and the more you do them together, not only is it going to strengthen your relationship with them, but it's going to help everybody's arousal and stress level through this time. Other things you might need, maybe you don't need calming. Maybe your kid is, you know, a super high energy kid, or maybe more sedentary than normal and you really can't get them alert and focused. Then you need energy. And energy comes from speed and unpredictability, movement. Can you dance? Do you have an office chair? Do you have something to jump on? Is it gonna be okay to bend the rules and jump off the couch just for the next couple of weeks as long as you put pillows on the floor? Think about it. You might have to be a little bit more flexible in some of your rules so that you can provide these indoor opportunities to get energy, especially as we're seeing more and more parks and playgrounds decide to close for the near future. There's gotta be a place in the house that is going to be okay where children have permission to engage in this more rambunctious kind of activity. You can even do pillow wrestling as long as you're not touching anybody else's body, and give each other squishes and roll over and make sure that it's a safe way to do that. Cassandra, were you going to say something?
You know, and then the other piece is, you know, don't be afraid to get dressed and go outside. You know, if you, you know, put on that, you know, put on that jacket, put on the rain boots and just get outside, even if it's just for 15 minutes. Because even just that shift in, you know, whatever's going on in the house can, you know, set you up for success later, you know, for the afternoon nap or the afternoon work that has to get done. So just, you know, also, you know, it might be, you know, a little bit painful in the beginning because, you know, you don't want to go out in the rain, but it will, you know, have lasting benefits for the rest of your day. Just to think about that.
Definitely, definitely. So we're gonna keep moving through our slides. The next thing in this green zone, you definitely want to have more kinesthetic learning opportunities if you can make them. Again, I didn't have spot markers in my house, but I had a whole lot of Beanie Boos, which were very easy for me to, you know, run around, find a balance beam, think about something that that my child could jump over. I had a cork board that I used. Maybe you have a whiteboard or something similar where you could, and maybe you're just taping your worksheets on the wall. That's fine too, but you're providing natural breaks and short bursts of opportunity to complete academic work while supporting regulation at the same time. And to give you a few more ideas, you can do something called turn and touch sight words to practice that and get your midline crossing and attention shifting, body movement all engaged. Maybe you're gonna, you know, toss the ball back and forth. Maybe you want to, if you have a yoga ball, maybe every time you need a new color or you need to switch, you know, for the color cut and glue activity, maybe you're going to put the elements on the floor and, you know, get a little head tip in there. If you have a spin board or an office chair, maybe there's some way that you can build that into an alternating activity for the child so that you're embedding the movement opportunities throughout the day to help keep their attention. Because remember, you are not the teacher. Your child has not been trained for extended periods of sitting in your own home, even if they're doing it at school. So you might need to use an expanded repertoire of strategies and look around the house for the toys and the opportunities that you do have to make it more fun and engaging and break up some of the work assignments, especially if your child is struggling with the online work or you're struggling with just the volume of resources that are being sent home and you need a strategy for organizing them. So think about your station, look around your house, what do you have that's really going to be helpful for you, and move it away from the screens. It's going to be its own little section. Our little sections were all in the same room, but they were divided by the shelving so that it was there was a little bit of a partition there as we were deciding where our workstation was going to be, our calming corner, and that kinesthetic learning area. Remember, your kid, if they're on the computer for a long time, every 10 to 20 minutes, they need to move away anyway to give their eyes a rest, to de-stress, to stretch, to breathe, and change their focus, especially if it's hard. If your child is easily overwhelmed by reading or writing or any of the assignments that they have to do, then you're going to have to show them how to pace themselves, tune into their body, and alternate between the things that are going to help them feel better and the things that are going to help them get their work done. Because if you're spending more time dealing with the meltdowns and the stress and everybody in the house is frustrated, then at some point about halfway through the week, you start to give up on getting the work done. And we want to set you up for success. We don't want to set you up for failure during this time because it's hard. You know, you were not ever asked to be the teacher at this level. And I'm sure many of you have already had experiences of even just getting homework done being challenging. So maybe this is an opportunity for you to establish a new routine for yourself that maybe will help you with homework in the long run too. So build in these stretching, breathing opportunities. If you can have your child do some chores, you know, think about the pressure and the movement and whatnot that's involved, simple and repetitive versus something that's really complex. You know, have your child join in, make it a part of your routine. If you're building a sensory diet, you have to have at least 3 or 4 longer movement breaks that are about 15 minutes long. You have your boxes, you have your workstations, really kind of play with your own child's time and tolerance for different activities and make sure you're trying to create that balance in how they're approaching the workday, because it's going to save your sanity and definitely going to help them during this really stressful and unpredictable time. So that balance is going to help them self-regulate. It's going to help them get the motor skills, the social skills, the play skills that they're working on when they are at school, interact with and explore their environment so they can learn more about the materials that are in their space that they can access to help them. And it will help to foster that participation in age-appropriate activities to develop more life skills and more independent learning skills over time. It's really those tiny habits. You know, you're not going to get it overnight. Start small, think big, and, you know, hopefully somewhere in between you're going to make it. I wanted to let you guys know that I am trying to put together separately an online parent training webinar to expand on all this stuff that I just talked about. So if you want to get the 6-step guide to optimizing your child's sensory diet, you can go to bodyactivatedlearning.com to do that. I also have access to my ebook that has some more specific exercises, but not the activities that we talked about today. And I'm doing some private Zoom conferencing for individual situations and cases. So you could definitely reach out to me at Aubrey@sensationalachievements.com if you have some really specialized information. I do want to make it clear that these webinars are not designed as a replacement for your therapy sessions. You still need to rely on your professionals that are on your team, connect with your teachers, but definitely feel free to reach out to all of us if you do need some personalized consultation and support that you maybe don't feel that you're getting right now. But all of this is definitely just meant to educate you, to bring you resources, and to share things with you throughout the week that we've found to be helpful in our work with our own clients that maybe also could help you through this time. At this point, what I want to do for the people that are here is to open it up to any questions you have, any experiences that you want to share. It's a small enough group of attendees that are actually logged on right now that if you raise your hand and ask a question, I can allow you to talk to everybody so everybody can benefit from what you have to say. So raise your hand, or even if you want to share something that you did at home that's working really well for you based on some of these strategies that we just talked about, that would be really awesome. And I'm sure that there's other parents who could benefit from that. All right. This is the long pause. Okay. So no one's raising their hand right now, panelist participants. Do you guys have anything that you want to say to weigh in or to add on to the things that we just talked about?
We have a question here.
All right, Aileen, you're up.
I just wanted to say that to the parents that are listening, that a little bit is better than nothing. And Aubrey, your suggestions were amazing. And I just wanted parents to know to not let the anxiety of what's going on around them consume them, but just do what they can to keep themselves healthy and grounded and accomplishing even just a little bit each day. I mean, I'm finding it just in my own practice that if I can just accomplish little bits and give myself the little breaks that I need, that everything is coming easier. And again, we are all here just to consult and help and give you general ideas if you need it. I just wanted to put that out there one more time. A little bit is better than nothing.
Definitely. So Danette, I know you and I had talked a little bit earlier today. Is there anything you want to add on to the conversation?
Well, I just arrived, so I'm sorry about that. I was in a different location in Zoom, actually with Michael. But yeah, everything's, as you were saying today when we were talking, this is all a learning process, and we are all parents and educators. If you're not an educator, even just being a parent that does something different, everything is just we're learning as we go, and this is a new circumstance. So really take deep breaths, do anything you can to get yourself breathing. Like you were saying, I came in on that part and that was beautiful. You know, some of the ideas that you shared are amazing with like bubbles and, you know, things of that sort. So just keep going.
Excellent. Terry, did you want to add on at all about the that physiological self-regulation piece? I know you're going to be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff tomorrow.
You know, yes, and one of the things I just wanted to point out too, for many parents whose child don't receive specific sensory breaks or sensory strategies at school and not in OT, there may be this thinking, well, this doesn't apply to me. And I want to encourage, we all benefit from sensory strategies. Like Aubrey said, we need that to regulate. As adults, we do a lot of these things automatically, thinking about how we shift in our seats or cross our legs or do other things that we need to get input into our bodies. Our children are not necessarily as aware to do those things, and they also need more to regulate. So sitting down and just doing this, even if it's not something your child would have typically maybe needed in school as a separate activity, can be really beneficial for this new normal of doing work at home. I mean, many kids will have sensory input or activities during the day built in. So walking down to the cafeteria, walking down to the gym, taking some of the attendance lists to the office, things like that, they were built into the day. So now we need to work on doing that, and we can make it fun and creative for our kids, getting them involved and coming up with ways that we can replicate and create some of these sensory things that we just learned about.
And I'll give you two quick examples. I've been consulting with some different families over the last week so that they can feel more empowered when they're trying to get their work done. And in one case, I had a child who is nonverbal on the spectrum, really reliant on the ABA style, you know, teaching routine and whatnot, and that is up in the air for him. So working with his family to show them how maybe in the beginning you're going to need a lot of, you know, quick rock on the ball, bounce, get a squish, whatever it is, and you just make it really predictable. You do, you know, you do longer ones in the beginning, and then you toggle back and forth between sitting at the workstation, completing a certain amount of work, whether it's 3 problems or 5, you know, 5 elements or half the page, whatever it is for that child, and then going back and engaging in that other movement opportunity that's going to be more regulating. So we established a routine where we would count to, you know, do it for a little while and then count down from 5 or count down from 10 and then go back to the workstation. And once the child had learned that balance, we actually were able to go from, you know, just cutting or just drawing to 1 worksheet, 2 worksheets, 3 worksheets. The more we added that repetition and that routine in place for him for that workday. In another case, I have a child who's really, you know, strong and really needs a lot of intense movement and, you know, is for all intents and purposes more typical, but really struggles a lot with learning. So sitting at the computer is not working for her. And again, working with the parents, we set up those kinesthetic learning stations. We set up those opportunities to, you know, dig the letters out of the rice bin to spell the word that we were working on, to, you know, write the letters on the chalkboard, to see it as a sight word and then hop it out and spell it. Whatever you need to do, it's going to be unique to your circumstance and your child's individual learning and self-regulation profile. So play around with the ideas, but keep those core elements in there in terms of thinking about that calming and regrouping corner, thinking about those activating activities, those energizing activities, and making sure to regroup and recover from the sustained computer demands, work demands, and whatnot throughout the day. So we have about 2 minutes left. I don't know if anybody else wants to have questions, or I will be going into final words. Anybody have a final thought that they want to add? Radio silence. Okay, so then I'm going to tell you what's happening over the next couple of days here. Tomorrow's guest is Terry DeLisa. She will be talking with us about anxiety. Terry, can you give us a quick preview of what we have for tomorrow?
Well, we're going to be talking about just, first of all, validating our experiences around this very new normal. We've not been, we had very little time to prepare, and we have no history to even go by, and looking at different ways that we can adjust our own expectations and what kind of negative self-talk we may be engaging in that's causing and creating anxiety that we may be passing on to our kids unknowingly.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We are going, if you're registered, you're going to be getting a copy of this video recording today. Again, we'll also be trying to send you any links and resources that we have throughout the week that are pertaining to all these great conversations. If you want to get added to my email list to get more resources, I am working on the registration for my 1-hour parent training on the 6-step guide, but you can also subscribe to the Sensational Achievements YouTube channel. Hopefully I'll also, once I figure out this YouTube live thing, be able to post there. And I know that all the professionals on this panel are also reaching out to the people that they're connected with in their community and posting on their platform so that you can get access to the resources as well. So thank you, everyone. Oh, one more thing. Aileen wants to jump in. Go for it.
If any of you that are watching do want to type in the message some future discussions that would be helpful to you as Aubrey's wrapping up, that would be great, because again, like Terry was saying, this is new to all of us, but we're all here to problem solve and be creative on ways that we could support you. So just feel free to type us, if there's any type of topics that would be helpful for us to address in the upcoming weeks.
Or even if you have a great speaker for us that you think is doing a great job, whether it's a parent, a paraprofessional, or another professional that you're connected with that you've gotten some valuable insights from. I anticipate that this is going to go more than just this week. We're just getting started. This is our new normal. We're trying to go with the flow and address the topics that everyone's bringing up, but also bring in some other people who maybe have some different viewpoints, and hopefully even a stay-at-home mom who teaches her own children at home on a regular basis, because I think that would be a really valuable person to bring to the table too, to share how she makes it work and puts it all together. So thank you everyone for coming to our webinar today. This is the first of many in our webinar series, and we look forward to continuing to connect with you. Please email questions to aubrey@sensational-achievements.com, and I will make sure that they get to the people who can answer them best on this panel, and try to get you guys an answer as soon as we can. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.